It's where all the cool kids go. The friendly info will show you around. We reward him with the fresh souls of our customers. Candles, t-shirts, plenty tees, and so much more. Tags on deck, horror shop you will never want to leave. Your friendly info will show you around. We reward him with the fresh souls of our customers. Candles, t-shirts, branded tees, and so much more. Dads on deck, horror shop you will never want to leave.
Excellent!
Howdy, gang. I wish StreamYard would fix that, by the way. Or maybe it's just something I'm not doing right since they made the change. Excuse me. I was eating something real quick before I got on here and shouldn't have been doing that and drinking Mountain Dew at the same time. But before I get to the matter at hand, which is Evil Dead Chick's excellent movie reviews, I just wanted to show off my shirt that Steve actually got me. And I don't know if y'all can see the bottom part, but it says, "Let's watch scary movies," and it's got the Ghostface killer from the Scream movies on there. So, I just wanted to show that off. I actually got a total of 3 shirts, but I thought this one was most appropriate for streams or videos that I might be doing. So I put this one on for you guys and gals if anybody cares. But we're going to get to these movies here in just a second. I actually have 3 that I'm going to be talking about. If you didn't see the ones that were shown on the thumbnail, I want to be talking about the Graveyard Shift 4K, and this is the Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, not the Graveyard Shift about the vampires. I'm also going to be talking about, because we don't just talk about horror ones on here, we talk about all releases. This is the 4K of Uncle Buck starring John Candy. And we got another one that's not a horror, but it's one of my favorite John Hughes related films from the 80s. We got the 4K of Pretty in Pink with Molly Ringwald, John Cryer, and Andrew McCarthy. So I'm going to be talking about not the plots of the movies, because obviously I love all of these movies or I wouldn't have purchased them on 4K, right? And they're older movies, so they're movies that I've seen many, many times before. So I'm not going to be talking about the plots of them. I'm going to be talking about the transfer and any special features that might be included on these. And then I'm going to give my rating, and then we're going to determine if this is an excellent release or not. But I just wanted to let everybody know there will soon be a movie roulette coming up because my husband, God bless him, because nobody else was picking movies for me to review. People were giving super chats, but they weren't picking movies to review. So I was like, I talked to Steve and I was like, we got to, kickstart this, or I got to kickstart this somehow. So Steve offered up A Night to Dismember, which is a movie I have seen before more than once with him. And it's not a good movie, folks. It is not. It doesn't even really make sense. But I'm going to review it. And once I, get it watched, I'm going to do the first ever movie roulette, and maybe this will get the ball rolling when people see how this is set up, and maybe they're not sure how this is going to go. So we're going to test it out with the movie Steve's pick, and so be on the lookout for this coming up soon. Hopefully I'll get a new Soup and Jallows out tomorrow by day's end. I'll be able to get one up there or up on the channel. I hope that those of you that are interested in my shout out videos, that you checked out the shout out on Brady Brandwood, the owner of Leon the Lobster, who recently sadly passed away after 2 to 3 years living with Brady. And he was rescued from the seafood section of Brady's, I guess, local supermarket. So he has rescued another one from the same place that he got Leon. So I just think that's great. So if you're at all interested in that, be sure to check that out. I've got that up on the site as a pre-recorded video as well. So I guess that's all for updates, other than my shop is officially live again. The deaditesondeck.com horror shop is back in business, folks. I got my domain renewed through Bluehost, got it attached back to Wix, and as of yesterday late, it was back live, folks. So I was extremely happy about that. If anybody has any trouble accessing it, please let me know and I will look into it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started talking about these movies. And so the first one I want to talk about is the Graveyard Shift 4K release from Kino Lorber. This is 4K, and honestly, I think this is probably, Graveyard Shift never did look too bad, in my opinion, as far as home releases go. But I think this is probably, with this 4K release, this is probably the best that Graveyard Shift's ever going to look. Okay. So most of it is pretty clean, the transfer. I don't see a lot of grain in this. So I was very happy with the transfer. And again, keep in mind, I'm not reviewing the plots of these movies. If you want to see me review plots of movies, you would have to check out things like Movie Roulette and the cannon fodder stuff and the Dick's Pick stuff that I do. Okay. But, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Kino Lorber is usually not there. I think they're more focused on making the movie look good than they are, putting special features on there. So, basically the special features that you have are audio commentary by film historians Howard S. Berger and Mark Edwards Huke. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right or not. Commentaries with film historians are fine, I guess, but I would rather hear from like the director or some of the actors and actresses that were in there. To me, that's more interesting than, and this is no knock against Howard Berger and Mark Edward Huke. I I'm sure they have a lot of great information they could share. But in the past, I have found those types of commentaries way less fun and interesting than what the director had to say about a film he made, or what the actors and actresses, the special makeup effects people, all of that stuff. There's also an interview with the director, Ralph S. Singleton. So we got that. An interview with actor Stephen Mock, or Matched. I don't know. It's Macht. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it all wrong. So there's an interview with actress Kelly Wolf. Interview with actor Robert Allen Booth, I think is how that is, and a theatrical trailer. Not a whole lot of stuff there, but we didn't get a commentary with these folks, the director and the one of the actors, one of the actresses, or a couple of the actors and one of the actresses, which is nice. That is a way to supplement the rest of the package. So this film came out in 1990. So the transfer, I think, pretty much reflects what you could do with the 1990s film. I think it looks fantastic. And I have no beef at all with how the transfer looks. Okay. So the special features, I could see them being beefed up just a little bit. So I'm going to not give this one my highest rating. Excuse me. But I will give the Graveyard Shift release, the 4K release from Kino Lorber, 4 deadites out of 5. I think it's completely worthy of that. And on the heels of that, is this an excellent release? Well, let's see.
Excellent!
And indeed, I think it is. So Graveyard Shift gets 4 deadites out of 5 from me. And it is, in my opinion, an excellent release. So moving on to Uncle Buck. This is a 4K release, also from Kino Lorber. So this is always or has been a childhood favorite and an adult favorite of mine in the years since I became an adult. So I have always loved this. My parents loved this when I was growing up. So it's not just a film for kids. It's not just a film for adults. There is some cursing in it, you know, but I think it's suitable for families to watch together. It's a very, very good movie, and it, you know I'm not really talking about the plot of the movie, but it does highlight. It is a highlight, in my opinion, for John Candy's career. You know, some of the others like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and stuff like that, which is a little, you know, harder edge than Uncle Buck, but there were several highlights in John Candy's career, and I think Uncle Buck was one of them. So, but again, I'm not, you know, writing the plot of the movie. So I will be totally honest, I was slightly disappointed in the transfer. The transfer looked decent overall, but in my opinion, there was a little more grain than I like to have. You know, Graveyard Shift had a lot less grain in my eyes than Uncle Buck did. And it didn't seem quite as clear and sharp and well defined as Graveyard Shift did. Okay. I mean, you still had the reds and stuff like that popped in the movie, but there were, you know, subtle differences that kept me from saying that this was a completely pristine copy of Uncle Buck. But, you know, they have to work with the materials that they have. So, again, special features with a lot of Kino Lorber releases are sorely lacking. So again, you've got audio commentary with film historians Alexandra Heller Nichols and Josh Nelson, which is all well and good, but I would prefer to have something with, of course, they couldn't have, this is a John Hughes one too. They couldn't have poor John Hughes on here because John Hughes passed away several years ago. And they couldn't have John Candy on here because sadly John Candy is no longer with us. But, you know, it would have been nice to maybe get Macaulay Culkin, Gabby Hoffman, you know, maybe Amy Madigan. Who else? Let's see. Maybe Jean Louisa Kelly. You know, I'm sure they maybe could have gotten some of these people. So they have a second audio commentary by film historian Joe Ramone. And they have 16 going on 17, an interview with actress Jean Louisa Kelly. And there is a theatrical trailer. So you've got 2 different commentaries with film historians. And you've got an interview with Jean Louisa Kelly and a theatrical trailer. Not a whole lot to go on, okay? But despite this, I still enjoyed the transfer immensely. I enjoyed going back and watching Uncle Buck. And even though I was a little disappointed with the transfer, I'm still going to give this one 4 deadites out of 5. Now, if I'm really having a bad day, I might say 3.5. But today I'm going to say 4 deadites out of 5. And was this an excellent release? Let's see.
Excellent!
And indeed it is, in my opinion. And you guys and gals are probably thinking, well, Dana, you haven't not given any of these excellent release reviews. And no, I haven't. But I would have to reserve that for something that was just a really, really lousy release. And so far, I haven't run across that. So that is Uncle Buck. So the last one I want to talk about this evening is Pretty in Pink, which was not directed by John Hughes, but was written by John Hughes and directed by Howard Deutch or Dutch. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. And again, I think anybody that grew up in the 80s, especially girls, women, are familiar with Pretty in Pink because that was one of my go-to films. Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, all of those types of films that usually had John Hughes attached to them in some way were my, primer in my teenage years. This is the stuff that I watched. This is the stuff that I loved. And I still love going back to it even as an adult because it brings me back to a time when everything was so simple. I didn't think it was simple then, but it indeed was. So again, I'm not going to talk about or rate the plot of the movie. Instead, I'm going to talk about the transfer and special features. So the 4K looks fantastic. The transfer is very clean. Again, there's very little grain. The colors pop. In my opinion, it was better than the Uncle Buck transfer. Maybe, well, I think it was probably on the level of Graveyard Shift. They were probably about the same. There may have been slight differences, but to the naked eye, it's not really going to be something that you're going to worry about too much. So, now the special features. The special features, first of all, are only on the Blu-ray. And we just get filmmaker focus, director Howard Dutch or Deutch on Pretty in Pink, The Lost Dance, the original ending, and a theatrical trailer. And Paramount put this out, and we all know how Paramount treats a lot of their movies. They especially the Friday the 13th series, but they don't give much love to any of the movies they released in the past. It doesn't seem like so. So phooey on Paramount for not putting more special features. Well, look up John Cryer and Andrew McCarthy, and maybe even Molly Ringwald would have done something for this, interviews or possibly even commentaries. I don't know. But it looks like they didn't even try in that department. But despite all of that, I'm still mainly for the transfer. Going to give this one 4 Deadites out of 5. And is it an excellent release? Well, let's see.
Excellent!
Even though I'm a little mad at Paramount for not taking time and putting love into this release like they should for something like Pretty in Pink, I am above, I'm over the moon at the release for one thing. And that helps soothe the fact that there's really chintzy special features. So I guess that is all for me. I've talked about for a little over 20 minutes about these 3 movies, and a little BSing at the beginning. So I am going to get off of here for the night, unless I think of something else I could do, a video or a stream or something on. But I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. If you're in the rainy part of the country, stay dry. And I'll see everybody next time.